All the headlines are probably telling you how bad the Canadian real estate market is right now. And yet home prices are increasing even in Toronto. Hey there, welcome to Prairie Real Estate. My name is Matthew Pfeiffer, real estate agent in Regina, Saskatchewan. That's my trusted assistant, Matilda. And this is a look for February 2025. What is going on in the Canadian real estate market? We'll start out in Victoria and work our way across the country, ending up in Halifax, looking at these cities individually. One Canadian city in this report saw an 11% increase year over year in home prices, and even Toronto is seeing home prices increasing right now. No, this is not just the effect of the spring market. But of course, we gotta start off with another one of my terrible bad dad jokes. Why couldn't the little boy go to the pirate movie? Because it was rated R. If you have a terrible joke I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. Let's get you up to speed on the Canadian real estate market. Normally when home sales are down, I don't say, hey, it was a pretty good month. But actually in Victoria, they had a relatively strong end to the year, and they started off 2025 on kind of similar foot. Not as busy as the crazy 21 and 22 sales numbers, but above 23 and 24, and more in line with the longer term averages for the month. Unlike in some markets, Toronto, condo sales are actually up in Victoria 30%. There was also over 1,000 homes newly listed for sale in the month, and I believe it's the first time in over a decade that there has been that many new listings in January. So for home buyers, this is good news. More choice coming to the market right now in Victoria. And the good news keeps coming for buyers, because the number of active listings right now in Victoria is actually higher than any single month in my rolling 5-year average, but that is skewed by the really low levels of inventory I had in 2021 and 2022. Right now, the active inventory is more in line of what they had pre-pandemic and their longer 10-year averages. In their monthly press release, the Victoria Real Estate Board talked about the market being more balanced, and honestly, that's fairly accurate. It's not the real estate board spinning the stats to look better. Months of inventory, you can see that's on the upper end of a balanced market, trending towards a buyer's market right now. Could change with the spring market. And when you look at home prices, you can see that they have remained really unchanged for the last 24 months, kind of between $850,000 and $880,000, with of course your seasonal fluctuation throughout the year. The stats say that Vancouver is a strong buyer's market, yet home prices are increasing. As you can see, home sales in Vancouver are down versus my 5-year rolling average, but it is better than the previous 2 years. And yes, I know, probably the 2 worst years Vancouver's had in a very long time. But the trend is clearly sales increasing, not decreasing or even stagnant. Agents are also telling me that their phones are ringing more, and they didn't expect to get this many calls from homebuyers this early in the spring market. The good news for homebuyers in Vancouver is that new listings are up and active inventory continues to pile up, so you're getting more choice to look at and more negotiation power with sellers. In theory, at least, because as I've said before, not all inventory is created equal. There's a lot of smaller condos on the market right now, and sellers just don't seem to be that motivated to drop prices. They continue to wait things out and see if things get a little bit better. Right or wrong, that's what they're doing. So you've got a standoff right now between buyers not overly happy with the quality of product, even though there's a large quantity of it on the market right now, and sellers kind of saying, I don't really need to sell, or I don't want to sell this price, and they're just not. So don't let that large months of inventory and active inventory number mislead you. There's an absolute glut of unappealing overpriced inventory in the market that's just not moving. What is moving is homes priced under $1 million. That's where agents are saying they're seeing the most activity right now, whereas over $1 million is quite quiet. What is interesting to watch in the Vancouver real estate market is home prices. They essentially bottomed out in late 2022 and have been trending up ever since. So even in a so-called strong buyer's market with lots of active inventory and lots of new listings coming to the market, prices are still increasing. And I expect this trend to continue through the spring of this year as well. Could 2025 be the year we see the Calgary real estate market become a balanced market? After years of being a red hot real estate market, 2024 saw the Calgary real estate market start to slow down a little bit. The big number I expect everybody to be talking about is that year over year inventory is up 70% in Calgary versus my 5-year rolling average. It's still up, although only 9%. That being said, the long-term average in Calgary is closer to 4,000 homes for sale this time of year, so lower than that. But any way you slice it, there is more inventory available for buyers than there has been in basically the last 5 years. Home sales in Calgary are still up though, 5% versus my 5-year rolling average, which now all of the pre-pandemic years have fallen off of that, and we're only now comparing against the 5 busiest years in Calgary's history. Citywide inventory is at 2.5, so just under the threshold of a balanced market in Calgary. Semi-detached though still has under 2 months of inventory. Detached homes just over 2 months of inventory, and it's apartment style condos at 3.5 months inventory, where they have the most balanced market. Talking with agents in Calgary, they're still saying even though things have balanced out, there isn't a whole ton of quote unquote deals to be had in the Calgary real estate market. That being said, they are seeing fewer multiple offers, and when houses do get multiple offers, there's fewer offers total that come in. This is the time of year generally where you see home prices start to increase as the spring market kicks off, and I'm expecting that to continue this year. And although I do think that 2025 will be a more balanced year in the Calgary real estate market, still think it's going to be a fairly busy and active one. In my 2025 predictions video, I said Edmonton was going to see the largest year-over-year price increases, and it's sure living up to that 1 month into 2025. Then you have home sales up 40%. This is bonkers right now in Edmonton. It's semi-detached and condos, apartments, that's actually driving the market. Those are up 42 and 36% respectively. Single-family home sales are actually down slightly year over year. And as bonkers as Edmonton real estate market is going, it could probably be worse for home buyers. New listings has thankfully somewhat kind of kept pace through all of 2024, but now with only being up 9%, that doesn't bode well for what I expect is going to be an incredibly busy spring market. If it wasn't for the critically low levels of inventory in both Regina and Saskatoon right now, Edmonton would have the worst inventory situation across Canada. And if we don't see more new listings coming to market, it could become that very soon. But now we got to talk about home prices in Edmonton. It's very much a repeat of what we saw in Calgary about 2 years ago. Foreign buyers have invaded the market. Those foreign buyers, of course, from Toronto and Vancouver. They realized a couple of years ago Calgary was a city, and now they have realized Edmonton is a city. And that's evidenced by the sales in both semi-detached and apartment-style condos going absolutely ballistic. I think we're going to look back on the Edmonton real estate market in a few years and say 2025 was the year things went absolutely crazy. We already saw Edmonton set a home sales record in 2024 that could very well be broken in 2025. We've seen that hot start, and we now got the highest ever home prices, at least for that composite benchmark price, and it's likely going to continue to increase at least through the spring market and probably the balance of the year. Technically, home sales in Regina were actually down year over year, but that was because last January was the best January on record, and it was only 7 fewer homes this past month, making this January the second busiest all time. The lack of sales right now in Regina is absolutely being constrained by the number of new listings and total active inventory on the market right now. When you go every morning and I look at the number of new listings, they basically match the number of sales. So we're not adding any active inventory to the market. Technically, I guess it's up. There were 3 more homes for sale right now than there were a month ago, but that's not really helping anybody right now. When you have less than 400 homes for sale in the Regina real estate market, that's making for a very difficult early spring market for home buyers. But please don't let stress and emotion push you to make a bad decision right now. Most good listings, meaning they're priced right and they present well, are seeing multiple offers. Don't be surprised if you see 3, 4, 5 other buyers trying to buy the same house as you are right now, and that is driving out home prices with a large number of homes selling over asking price right now in Regina. If you want to look for the light at the end of the tunnel though, as a home buyer in Regina, it's that typically we start seeing active inventory increase going into the next couple of months. Last year we saw the opposite. It decreased all the way through May. Most years though, it starts picking up in March, and we see inventory peak out in early to mid-August. And if you want to sit down and talk with me about the Regina real estate market, you're going to see my contact information in the description of this video. And of course, there's going to be a link to my calendar where you can book me in for a call as well. My records have this past month as the second busiest January ever in Saskatoon. Only January 2021 saw more homes sold, and at the time, active inventory was nearly triple. The number of homes for sale right now is absolutely constraining the number of homes that probably would have sold if there was more homes for sale. The good news for home buyers in Saskatoon is that there was more new listings that came to market compared to last year, which was unseasonably low, a little bit unfair, but there was more new listings this year than the previous 3 years. I'm hoping that this is a start of a trend and not just a one-off month. Unfortunately, the number of active listings is well below my 5-year rolling average, and I'm considering this to be critically low. When I was talking with agents in Saskatoon, one thing they pointed out that I didn't notice is that pretty much all of the builders in Saskatoon have increased their prices on all new construction homes to start the year. They know that there's a lack of inventory in new construction and very few homes being started right now in Saskatoon. I do expect the Homewood subdivision will get started this year, or at least I'm really hoping it will. There's nothing officially confirmed, but most people are expecting it will get going in 2025. Another factor that is driving buyers in Saskatoon is school boundaries. Now that the schools there are enforcing boundaries, it's having buyers make decisions for locations based on those school divisions. They're telling me that the neighborhoods that are most in demand right now are Lakeview, Evergreen, and Willow Grove. And if you're looking for a single family home on the east side of Saskatoon, it pretty much starts at $400,000 and goes up from there right now in Saskatoon. No one's really talking about how hot the Winnipeg real estate market has been the last few years. The 722 homes that just sold in January is actually the third busiest January Winnipeg has ever had. In second place was 731 back in 2020, and then the astounding, staggering, eye-watering 936 that sold in 2021. Much like the rest of the Prairie cities, lack of new listings and active inventory is what's making it a very challenging buyer's market right now in Winnipeg. The good news is it's not as bad as things are in Regina and Saskatoon. I was talking to a really good agent friend of mine in Winnipeg, and he was saying how it's really tough to find anything because there's not a lot of inventory. And then I showed him our numbers in Regina, and he said, holy, you guys have it way worse than we do. Now, of course, I know my friends from Winnipeg that are watching this video are saying, well, at least I don't have to live in Regina or Saskatoon because then I'd have to be a Rider fan. And to that I say, let's go Riders. I was gonna clap and I can't because I got my thing in my hand. Agents are also telling me that there's bidding wars on almost any well-priced property right now, especially in those highly desirable neighborhoods. And more buyers are now removing more conditions. So they're seeing some unconditional offers or offers with fewer conditions in total right now. Right now, months of inventory is right on the edge between a balanced and a seller's market. I expect it to shift back into the seller's category as we get into the busy spring market. And then when you look at active inventory, it's down to 2021 levels. And we all know what happened to the Winnipeg real estate market back in 2021. The big number in Winnipeg is home prices. The composite benchmark price at $360,000-ish right now is up 7% year over year. In my 2025 Canadian real estate market forecast video, I did not put Winnipeg in my top 3 cities where I expected those cities to see the largest year-over-year price increases. And yes, of course, it's my anti-Winnipeg bias. The all-time high for home prices in Winnipeg is $369,000 set back in May of 2022. I expect this spring we'll see home prices break $375,000 in Winnipeg. Most Canadian cities have seen a year-over-year increase in home sales. Toronto was not one of those. Interestingly enough, it was actually Calgary that saw the largest year-over-year decrease in home sales this past month. Was this just a one-off anomaly or the sign of a weaker Toronto real estate market in 2025? I'm leaning to the latter. I think in 2025, the Toronto real estate market is going to be a sluggish one. Looking through the data though, the sales in January are actually almost identical to 2018 and 2019. If you're a home buyer in the Toronto area, the good news is active inventory and new listings are both way up. The bad news is a good chunk of that active inventory is those overpriced and undersized downtown Toronto condos. Of the approximately 17,000 active listings in Toronto, about 6,800 are single-family homes, about 2,000 are townhouses, and over 7,000 are apartment-style condos, with nearly 5,000 of those in the city of Toronto itself. Right now, months of inventory 4.5 is kind of in the middle of a balanced market. Could we see that balloon to over 6 months of inventory this spring, meaning we'd have the first spring buyer's market in a very long time in Toronto? Let me know in the comments below what you think. And if you are thinking about buying a house in Toronto this spring, and you want me to handpick a great real estate agent for you from my network, look in the description of this video. There's a link to my calendar to book me in for that call. Right now in Toronto, on average, it takes about 4 weeks for a single family home to sell, and condos are about 6 to 8 weeks. That is the current listing, not any potential relist multiple times over. And interestingly enough, the sale price to asking price is about 98% for both single family homes and condos. That is the sale price versus the list price the day that the offer was written, not the original list price. Speaking of home prices, that composite benchmark price in Toronto is up 0.44%. When we break it down by property type, single family homes are up about 1.5%. Simcoe actually saw the largest year-over-year increases at nearly 6%. Townhouses were unchanged year over year. And of course, condos saw the largest decrease across the entire Toronto region. The largest decline was in Dufferin, that was down 6%. The city of Toronto, those are down about 4% right now. The Ottawa real estate market has shown more resilience than the Toronto real estate market, which is obviously starting off very sluggish. This year, Ottawa started off slower than last year, busier than 2023. But if you go back to 2015, 16, 17, 18 type time frame, well, about 600 homes sold a month, that would have been normal. Understandably though, Ottawa is a big government town, and the political uncertainty is absolutely weighing on people's decision to buy and sell a house right now. New listings are basically equal to the last 2 years. It's only down versus the 5-year average because of how low new listings were in 2020 and 2021, which still really skew this data. Active inventory is the number I continue to enjoy watching in Ottawa, up 155% versus my 5-year rolling average, which is really badly skewed right now. From 2020 to 2022, active inventory was ridiculously low. In 2022, at one point, there was less than 600 homes for sale at this time of year in Ottawa. If you go back to 2015, 16, 17, 18 type time frame, there was actually over 4,000 homes for sale that time of year, so we'd actually be a little bit low. Looking at home prices in Ottawa, you can see, following the trend, that since the end of 2022, prices have continued to rise. They're not at the highs that they were in the spring of 2022, but starting off the year up 5% is absolutely notable. Looking at by property type, single family homes, those are up 8% here. Townhouses are up 2%, and condos are actually unchanged. Citywide, that benchmark price is also up 8% in the last 2 years. So even in what should be described as a quote unquote buyer's market, home prices are still increasing. This was actually the 4th busiest start to a year that Montreal's had in the last decade. Only 2019 and just barely 2020, 2021, and barely 2022 saw more homes sell in the first month of the year. I said in my 2025 predictions video, I expected Montreal was going to be one of the hot real estate markets in Canada, and it's starting off that way. Agents in Montreal are telling me it's off to a very busy start in basically every price segment except for the luxury price market. That's definitely a little bit slower. Single family homes, they're priced under $1 million. They're saying that multiple offers on pretty much everything right now. Condos, not quite as busy, but it seems to be trending up a little bit. New listings, along with active inventory, is kind of different in Montreal than, say, Toronto and Vancouver. It's typically higher in Montreal. Looking at new listings right now, above the 5-year average, and we saw a fairly sizable jump over the new year, but versus the long-term 10-year average, new listings is basically right in line with that. There's currently 17,000 homes for sale in Montreal, and versus the 5-year rolling average, it says that that is up. But rewind the clock a little bit here, and the numbers tell a very different story. So to start February back in 2016, 34,000 active listings. 2017, 30,000. 2018, 25,000. 2019, 22,000. 2020, 20,000. 2021, 11,000, and then it actually dropped below 10,000 in 2022. When it comes to home prices in Montreal, those are not only up 7% year over year, they're up 10% versus 2023. The all-time price high in Montreal is $550,000, so right now the composite benchmark price at $540,000 isn't far behind. I'm expecting not only for that record to be broken this year, it could happen as early as maybe next month even. So while the Vancouver and Toronto real estate markets are starting off fairly sluggish, Montreal beats to its own drum. You know, they say that numbers don't lie. Well, in this case, they kind of do. Saying home sales are down 23% versus the 5-year average is really misleading, because back in 2022, there was over 550 homes sold in 1 month to start the year, completely skewing my current 5-year average. This was actually the 4th busiest January in the last decade in Halifax. The good news for home buyers is that new listings trended up this past month. The bad news for home buyers is that multiple offers are also coming back, especially the sub $500,000 price point. And when it comes to prices, those are trending up right now in Halifax. We'll talk about that in just 1 second here. But with that strong month of sales, active inventory actually got pushed down year over year, and it's only slightly up month over month. Versus the 5-year average, it's sure better than the crazy times, which of course, 2020 through 2022, there was almost nothing for sale in Halifax. So it looks better than that at least. But now we got to talk about home prices in Halifax. And as I say all the time, Halifax has average price. I don't like it because it can be skewed, especially when there was only about 250 sales. And that average price climbed to $617,000. That's up $40,000 in just 1 month. It's up 6% year over year. No, home prices in Halifax did not increase $40,000 in a month. They're absolutely trending up right now. This is more of a function of the type of homes that sold in the months. We're a little on the higher price side, which dragged up that average price probably more than it should. But without a doubt, home prices are trending up in Halifax right now.